Hi everyone, it's CricketSong, and I'm here with a video response today. Actually, it's, I guess, a answer to a challenge by Jasmyne Ambrosia in her video, Which Priestess, Prophetess? And she asked other YouTube creators in the community to discuss their own opinions and their definitions of these words and our thoughts and ideas about these three words. I'll link her video in the information section of this video so you can go watch that. And I will now give my opinions, my thoughts, my definitions of these three words and how they relate to me in my practice. Witch. So when I think of witch, I think of an individual, whatever the gender, who practices the art and science of energy and creating a life in which they desire. Manipulating the energy and the emotions and the will, not only of themselves, but of the energy surrounding them. It's like Aleister Crowley's definition of magic. So a witch is someone who uses magic. A witch is someone who lives their life with a perspective that anything is possible and that we are the creators of our reality and of our life experiences. We're aware of the energy around us, the energy within us, and we know how to shift, manipulate, change, transmute, transform this energy in a way that we desire, or that we can influence the energy around us and in other people too. Whether you consider it good or bad to do so, it's irrelevant. You're still witch from my perspective. It's a unique perspective. It's not a perspective that everybody has. As witch, I understand the power I have over myself and over the environment. I understand my abilities to influence my environment, the people and the things, the animals, and I understand how to connect and merge with the energies around me, found within people and in the natural world. I can perceive entities and energies beyond what we can see with our eyes as human beings. So I am able to sense the energies of the things around me, of the people and the places around me. That's witch to me. Not everybody embraces this ability, this label, this perception, because it's a unique perception and way of living life that may not be aligned with everybody. I don't perceive witch as a religion, although I do believe witch can be a religion. I don't necessarily, for me, perceive it specifically as a religion, because I do believe that you can be a Roman Catholic and be a witch. You can be a Methodist and be a witch. You can be a pagan and a witch. You can be an atheist and a witch. You can be someone who follows Satanism and be a witch. But you can be witch as well and perceive that as your religion. I myself consider myself pagan, but I do consider myself a witch. So the witch practices witchcraft, and each individual, each witch, would define their witchcraft differently than how I might define witchcraft for myself. And witchcraft is using magic, using correspondences, using such as herbs or colors or stones or the planetary hours, the seasons. There's so many different correspondences you can use, but I do, for me, define witchcraft as using these correspondences to better align my intention with the energies that I find around me. My witchcraft also includes the work with spiritual entities, but excludes work with deities. And I have videos that I made recently discussing that, so go back and look at those. That is witch. Priestess or priest. For me, that, and this is my opinion, for me, that is in alignment with deity and the gods. When I think of priestess, I recall the time when I was working with deities such as Isis or Bast or Thoth or Anubis or Danu or Cernunnos. When I was a priestess, I was a priestess of these deities. Not all at the same time, mind you, but when I was working and worshiping and devoted to Isis, I was a priestess of Isis. When I was working with Danu, I was a priestess of Danu. But when I don't work with deity, such as now, I don't consider myself a priestess devoted to any particular deity. And because I'm working with nature spirits and the primordial energies found within the universe of the divine masculine and feminine energies, I do not consider myself a priestess. I guess for me, priestess and priest really go in alignment with personified gods, personified deity, personified divine energy. That's my opinion. Your opinion may differ. That's how I really look at it. It's an individual, be it a witch or not a witch, who is devoting their time, their energy, and they have a connection to a particular god or goddess. The fact that I work with nature spirits, I don't consider myself a priestess of nature spirits or a priestess of nature, unless, of course, I'm working with Gaia, the deity, the divine energy of that particular goddess. Now, there was a time in my past that I was a high priestess of lunar wisdom coven and wisdom of the crescent moon. I was the high priestess of those covens, and that was a role that I fulfilled at the time. Both covens were devotees of a particular god and goddess. So we were, as a collective, the coven, were priests and priestesses of a particular god and goddess, and myself, along with the high priest, were occupying roles of leadership within the coven. And we channeled the energies of the divine gods that we were working with at that time. We were the mouthpieces of those gods to the coven members, along with running the coven. It was a role, it was an office that we held during that time, and there were responsibilities that I had, and I was duties to the coven members as well as the community in a wide sense, because we ran rituals at a local metaphysical shop as well as within the coven. We taught and worked with other coven members to help everyone learn more about themselves and their roles within the coven, their roles within community, and helped to develop their own skills and their own craft. But now I am not a high priestess of any coven. I don't consider myself a high priestess of any coven. I actually don't even consider myself a priestess. that brings me to the last word, prophetess. So for me, when I think of prophetess, I think of someone who is foretelling or the future, or foretelling to their best ability the possible outcome of the future of an individual, the future of a community, the future of humanity, the future of the world. It's someone who is reading the signs and the omens, the portents, and all the other things that the universe or the gods are presenting, so that we have better understanding of the path that would benefit us the most. Us meaning the individual, humanity, the world, the community, the coven, whatever. And I think an individual can be a prophet or a prophetess without being a priest or priestess or a witch. I think prophets and prophetesses can be found within all religions, within all spiritual paths. I really see them as diviners. People who read the cards, people who read tea leaves, people who read bones, runes, who scry, who read the candle wax, who read the clouds. But I feel like it's someone who has a understanding of this ability, and I feel like it is, and think that it's someone who embraces that ability and who really practices it and is looking to evolve it. So for an example, and these are just my opinions, understand, someone who occasionally reads the cards for themselves, someone who once in a while looks in their cup and reads the tea leaves, may have the ability to prophesize, but I don't necessarily consider them a prophet or prophetess. I think the prophetess or prophet is someone who reads the tea leaves on an ongoing basis, consistent basis, someone who reads tarot on a consistent basis. But again, that's my opinion. So do I consider myself a prophetess? I do. I read the tarot. I read the crystal ball. I read the witch's runes. I read, what else do I? The pendulum. I do all kinds of divining. So then I consider myself a prophetess. It's something that I do on a regular basis. Interesting enough, though, I would not use the word to describe myself. I say I'm a professional reader. Reader of what? Of tarot, of runes, of a crystal ball, of all kinds of forms of divination. But I would not consider myself a prophetess, if that makes sense. But I don't think prophetesses or prophets necessarily go with a spirituality, but they can. If you are a priest or priestess of a god, you can most certainly be a prophetess as well. I think in general, when I think of prophetess or prophet, I think of a religion, but that's because of my background being Christian and the Bible. But I don't necessarily feel that that is a necessity in order to sort of embrace that label for yourself. So those are my thoughts and my opinions in regards to those three words. I would love to hear yours. If you're watching this video or listening to this video, I would love to hear your opinions of these three words. And I'm sure Jasmine would like to hear it as well. It's something to contemplate, something to consider. So I look forward to hearing your opinions, thoughts, and ideas. And until next time, I love you. Mwah. Blessed be.